What's up, guys? We are live here on the Sportskeeda wrestling page, and tonight we had a fantastic matchup. No, that's not the one. There you are. I'm Jose G. That's Rico Glorioso. What happened in tonight's main event? We had Dr. Britt Baker defend her AEW World's Women's title against Ruby Soho, but that opening matchup, Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryanson, man, what a way to start off AEW Dynamite, guys. So we're going to talk all about that tonight here on the Debrief. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Man, the dream match, Rico, the dream match that everybody was clamoring for goes to a draw. I called it like 10 or 15 minutes into the match. I'm like, they're really milking this match. And I see that this is going on another commercial break. I'm like, we're getting to the 30-minute mark.
It's going to be 30 minutes right now.
A time expired draw, and hold it up. Yo, we got it. We got the time draw. Man, what did you think of this opening matchup tonight, man?
So freaking good. This is what we wanted. This is what we were hoping for when the rumors began months ago of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, returning to wrestling outside of WWE to get these kind of dream matches. And one of the ones that we've been waiting for a long time, we got to see it live on TV just a couple of hours ago. Man, the best bout machine, PWI's #1 wrestler of the year, the current reigning, defending, undisputed AEW champion, Kenny Omega, goes to a time limit draw with the American Dragon. I loved it, man. From the beginning when they were just going chop for chop, and then seeing Daniel, I keep saying Dan Bryan, remember Bryan Danielson, his chest all red. Just a great story that they told inside the ring between arguably two of the best wrestlers right now in all of professional wrestling. This is what we were hoping for, and we got that to kick off the show. Oh, even CM Punk said it best in the next the segment when he
how do you follow that?
Good thing I'm not wrestling tonight, because how do you follow that? You couldn't. You could not follow that with a regular match. That's why they had to have CM Punk. That's how good that match was, where you had to have CM Punk doing an interview as you're like calm down from that match. I thought it was great. You called it in the text message in our group. It made the most sense. Like, you want to protect both the champion and one of the best wrestlers in Daniel Bryan. This made the most sense. And like you said, if you want to see an ending to this match for a title, you're going to have to pay for it. It's going to be on pay-per-view. Expect it to be at full gear. If we don't have Adam Page by then, like, this has to be it, right? Like, we have to see the conclusion of this matchup, or they could do a great job of telling a long story with these two. But I want to see it now. Now that I saw this match, I have to see a definitive conclusion to this. So I'm looking forward to seeing this rematch next time for a title. So I thought it was a great way to start off the night. Man, like, this is how you kick off a special like Dynamite Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing Meadows in Queens, New York. This is how you do it right. And that's, I can only imagine what it's like being in that crowd. So I loved it. What did you think about it?
You know what? I think the match had really good storytelling. I thought it was really good. A lot of intensity. Man, Bryan's chest was lit up like a Christmas tree. So it was real red. The guys were just going back and forth. I thought it was a very physical match. Really good storytelling from the very beginning. Bro, the pop that it got at the tie-up, on the tie-up. That pop was, people were just popping for anything that they did. But you know what? This was a very highly anticipated match. I figured that this would be something. This was a good way to book it, because that way neither Bryan or Kenny looks weak going into this. Plus, we get to build up on the storyline, right? You know, we never got to finish this match because time expired, right? Okay, let's get a 60-minute Broadway going on, or a no time limit.
Give me an Iron match.
This time for the AEW title. I thought this was great. Some great scary spots there. Some scary spots there for Daniel Bryan, or for Bryan Danielson. The only if I got a nitpick, man, Like, if you know that the V trigger's coming, why are you staying in the way?
Oh.
Like, he's a mile away
from the ramp.
You know the V trigger's coming. Move out of the goddamn way, please. Just get out of the way. Just get out of the way.
Yeah,
guys, if you're just tuning in, go ahead and hit that like button. Engage with the show. Subscribe. Make sure you find us on all of your wherever you get your podcasts. You can find right over there. We're in the top 100 in the United States right now. So go ahead and give us a follow and a subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your major podcasts. Watching us on Facebook, go ahead and share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section. Engage with the show. All right, guys. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you thought about tonight's AEW Dynamite. Man, sorry about that, Rico. I had to get that in before I cut you off.
No, you're good. Because I was going to say they're letting us know, everybody letting us know how they felt about that match. Like Stephen Chambers' opening match, wow, rematch for the title at Full Gear. Even Victor Nash saying, wow, what a non-title match between Omega and Bryan Danielson. Yeah, like we saw there, what an incredible match. Oh, man, just everybody was loving that match, just waiting for the repeat of that match. And just like you were saying about the V triggers that we kept getting from Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryan got in his yes kicks, which, again, he's not going to say yes. He said it basically in his last few interviews, and he had a nice little farewell letter, by the way, if you guys haven't checked it out. A nice farewell letter to the WWE, where he's going to respect their intellectual property. So he himself is not going to say yes. That doesn't mean the fans can't say that. So they were right behind him. Every time he started doing those yes kicks, they were right behind him, hitting Kenny Omega in the back of the head.
I love the combination of the woo and then yes.
With the knife edge strikes and the kicks.
It was great. It was a very engaging crowd. I absolutely loved it. I was keeping an eye on Twitter to see what our fellow wrestling journalist friends that were present at Arthur Ashe Stadium had to say, and they said that it was deafening. Andrew Zarian, Sean Ross Sapp, Denny Salcedo, they were all there. It was so loud that it was deafening. So I could only imagine, and it came out pretty loud through the TV. So, so tonight was definitely a huge success for AEW. But we had tons of good matches. Brian Pillman, MJF, that was a good match. MJF got the submission with the Salt of Earth. That was awesome. But what about this promo with CM Punk? That was a pretty damn good promo right in between those two matches.
Yeah, he basically even alluded to, people saying on social media that we want the old CM Punk back. We want that edgier. We want that, the harder hitting, the more ruthless CM Punk. And he even said, be careful what you wish for. So don't be surprised if we do get a heel CM Punk, nearby in the future. But at the end of the day, he is still excited for being back in professional wrestling. The crowd still gets him amped up, even though he tries to walk out there with a stone face, even though he admitted himself, he can't help but smirk when the crowd gets behind him. And they're starting to sing his song. They're starting to sing Cult of Personality almost as well. They don't know all the lyrics just yet, but they're starting to sing it almost as well as they're singing Judas. So it's going to get to that point where the crowd is going to be that far behind CM Punk. It'll be great when he turns heel. However, until he does that, he's still babyface, and he's still calling out Team Taz and Powerhouse Hobbs. It even says, half of you guys are from here, Taz and Hook, are from New York, yet
and they don't even like you.
They don't even like you. So, of course, this is what we expected from CM Punk. 48 hours away from his return to TV in over 7 years, going one-on-one against Powerhouse Hobbs, where he tells him he's going to put him to sleep. So, looking forward to that match.
Yeah, man. And I think tonight we had a lot of good, not only just matchups, but storytelling when it came to these matchups, especially with Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes coming out looking like Evel Knievel, even though I know he's supposed to be taken off of Homelander from The Boys, which I think is supposed to be premiering soon, right?
Yeah, I missed that. I'd rather have that outfit than whatever he wore tonight.
But he came out kind of looking like Evel Knievel, but that's okay. I love this match. Some people did not like it. I saw people were trashing this match. I thought this was good. I thought this was really good because Cody Rhodes came in. I thought that Cody was going to get the win on here, right? Because he's Cody. He's coming back for the triumphant win, And then now he's got not only Arn, but he brought back the wifey. All right.
Yeah.
He brought back the wifey. The wifey got in Malachi's face, flips him off, drops an F-bomb. So it was great from a storytelling standpoint. And then the little cheat, dirty win, paying homage to the Great Muta with the spit in the face.
Yeah, with the black mist, which
With the black
kind of
mist.
works with Malachi Black.
Yes, absolutely. So I thought it was good, but some people didn't like it. What's your take on this?
At first, like Steven Chambers is saying here, with Arn falling off of the ring apron, I wasn't sure if that was a shoot or work until he got back on the apron, and then we saw the rest of the match. I was just worried for Arn because he's starting to get up there in age. To me, I was ready. I was ready to come here to the debrief and talk so much trash about Cody Rhodes and how hypocritical he was had he got the win. Because I was ready to drop that quote from the Dark Knight. You either live long enough to see yourself become the villain or die the hero. Because he's becoming, every single time he has one of these matches, he's getting closer and closer to being Triple H of AEW. And if he would have won tonight, that would have been it. I would have gone off on a rant. But Malachi Black got the win, as he should have. So they did it right. Granted, they went a little different than I expected. I didn't expect the miss. I expected that kind of storytelling that they were doing when he was attacking the leg. And Malachi Black started doing the leg raise like he does before the Black Mass, but he starts selling the leg injury. Like, I thought they were going to go with something with that. And then he goes with the whole black mist in the face, and then getting the small package for the win was unexpected. But it's
wrestling
the right outcome.
maneuver, bro. It's a wrestling maneuver.
It's still the right outcome. Malachi Black should have won that match as he did. And a lot of people talking about it in the chat. Are we going to see a more heelish Cody Rhodes when it comes to this? In order to get that comeuppance against.
Remember the last time he tried to do that and he dyed his hair black and that lasted 1 week? I don't know. I don't know if he has it in him. I don't know.
He's trying to go toxic attraction, bro. But of course, it was nice to see Brandi Rose back. And if you guys didn't know already, the whole idea, and there was a bunch of commercials the whole night on TNT, it's going to be the debut of Rhodes to the Top, the reality show based around Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes. It's going to premiere next Wednesday following Dynamite. Very much in the same vein as seeing like Total Divas after Raw or seeing Miz and Mrs. after SmackDown. So we're going to get the AEW version of that. So this was a great way to tie it all in. So it's good to see her back. She had a beautiful baby girl. They're healthy. She's good to go. I still don't want to see her in the ring, but I like to see that she's back and she's around. So, good for her to get it back into, and back into the thick of things. But of course, the right person won. Malachi Black got the win. So what's going to be the next step? What do you think they go from here, Jose, with Malachi and Cody Rhodes? Is it over, or does Malachi go somewhere else? Or are they
I have a feeling this is
going to do it again.
Over. Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to do it again at Full Gear. Just because the way that Malachi Black won under, it wasn't like decisive. He had to, he had to rely on some black mist in order to get a win over Cody. So that's probably not going to sit well with Cody. So I'm expecting some more build up. If not, then I think this is the time to start maybe pushing him towards Miro, towards that TNT championship.
And that was going to be one of my questions to you. But first, you guys in the chat, you guys are crazy. Esam Walker and Christopher Ryan Cooper both going for the Stardust gimmick to return to face off against Malachi Black. No, please don't do that. But that was going to be my question to you. What is more likely to happen first? Miro go for the AEW championship or Malachi Black being TNT champion?
I want Miro as double champion. That's what I want.
I had to add that in there because I had to poke at you today, Jose, because this is Dynamite Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium. And where is your TNT champion, Jose? He is relegated to a video package to set up next week's match against Sammy Guevara. He wasn't there in person. It was a video package, Jose. How do you feel about that?
Disrespectful. There is no RESPCT for MIRO. I am absolutely upset about this. I say it every week. It's like beating a dead horse, dude. I'm done just ranting about this and complaining about it because I mean, I already lost all my hair. What else can I lose right now, right? So this is just so disrespectful, dude. You have a huge again, but where would you put him? Like, where are you gonna put him?
I mean, if you didn't take up all 30 minutes for the main event, you could add in an extra match like we're gonna get on Friday. Because I looked at it, we had 5 tonight. We're gonna get 6 matches on Friday because we know we're not gonna have a 30-minute draw. So that's kind of the give and take with all of it.
And he's not on Rampage either. He's not on Rampage either. So again, the disrespect to Miro is real. It's real. I want every single one of you guys that is watching right now. I want all of you to go to Twitter. #Justice for Miro. All right? Justice for Miro. Why? Because this is a travesty. It is, I've already said disrespectful, but I don't know what else I could say. It is a travesty that Miro was not involved in this Grand Slam AEW Dynamite. And he's not going to be on Grand Slam Rampage either. So I want y'all to go to a tweet to make sure you guys tag TNT and question and put #Justice for Miro.
How would you feel if next week on Dynamite we get a new TNT champion in the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara?
No.
No. No? Still?
No.
Even though they're going to disrespect him, you don't think Miro's going to be better in the hunt?
No. Absolutely not.
Oh, I already knew what you were going to say. I just had to egg you on. Just to have, just get your feelings out, Jose, because I know you're pent up and you're holding them in because you're so upset about, Miro being disrespected. I had to let you get that off your chest. But we got to see the icon himself, Sting.
I got to say something about that.
With Darby Allin against FTR.
Yeah, I got to say something about that, though, because I'm usually pretty harsh on Sting because I'm really not that big of a Sting fan, which is fine. I respect him. He actually did really good tonight. He actually did really good. Surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, especially with the crossbody, and he did a lot of Stinger splashes.
Still moving real good. Yeah,
getting out of the tombstone and hitting his own Scorpion Death Drop, which I thought was great. And I thought the ending sequence made the most sense, where Sting had Dax Hardwood in the Scorpion Deathlock, and just kind of like we saw in NXT, a lot of times when there was these submission moves where the Revival were being split up, the other person trying to help the other person out. So as Cash Wheeler is trying to help Dax Hardwood get back to the rope, Darby Allin, again, doesn't care about his body. He hits a coffin drop to the outside while Cash Wheeler is on the apron in order to break up that help, which leads to just a straight up Scorpion Deathlock, which allows Sting to get the win. So do you see this being the springboard to that one-on-one matchup between Sting and Tully Blanchard, Jose? Because in the entire match, he kept alluding to, wiping off the face paint like he did last week.
Why? What do they have to prove to each other? There's nothing at stake here. There's really nothing that they need to prove to each other here. Now, one thing that's notable about this match, the NWO salute from FTR. Did you notice that on their gear tonight, using that good old black and white, old school NWO logo? I loved it.
Yeah. A nice little homage is being paid by them and the New Day when it comes to that gear. So I like that, yeah.
Let's see here. I'm just going through your guys' comments here. Let's see here. I believe we may see Darby versus Miro rematch at Full Gear. What do you think about that? Will he go back, become a 2-time AEW TNT champion?
They should do it, but they should keep it on Miro. Like when Miro loses it, it needs to be like against Jungle Boy. Like it needs to be against somebody they're really trying to develop and get to that spot. So if I had to put money on anybody to beat Miro, it's Jungle Boy.
All right, man, let's talk about this main event. Ruby Soho, Britt Baker, DMD, your AEW World's Women's Champion. Pretty good match. I thought it was good. I saw some of you guys put in the comments section about What's next for Ruby? Well, Ruby just got there. There's plenty of stuff for her to do. Plus, earlier today in the top story, we covered a story that AEW is going to be unveiling or introducing a new title soon, and it is presumably a women's title. Not sure if it's going to be a women's tag or if it's going to be a women's singles, but with Rampage heading over to TNT in 2022, my guess, I'm just being just speculating that we may get a women's TBS title, like something like that.
The
like
women's Rampage title or something like that.
Or the women's Rampage, something of that sort, right? So that could be an avenue for Ruby, right?
Yeah, like, again, this is the beginning of a true women's division for AEW. After, when they started off, we had not so positive things to say about the women's division. They finally found their niche. They found their own here. So now it's about establishing their talent. You already have Dr. Britt Baker. You have Chris Statlander. You have Sheeta. You have Thunder Rosa, who's officially AEW. So you also bring in Ruby Soho. You're going to be seeing her mix it up with all these women that she never had a chance to when she was over in the WWE. So be ready to see those matches between Ruby versus Chris Statlander versus Thunder Rosa, which I think would be a great match between those two. Now we're setting up all these other dream matches first, so don't expect her to go away anytime soon. Just another, solid piece in this women's division to keep building off of. But right now, it is all centered around Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She's not dropping that title for a good while, at least until she has that feud again with Thunder Rosa. So, this is solid. This was a solid match to end the show with. It's great that they gave her and Ruby, the designation of the main event for this kind of event. Like I honestly expected them to end it with Kenny and Bryan Danielson, but no,
I did too.
Kick off the night. So that shows a lot of confidence in these women, and they delivered. It was a solid show all the way around. It felt like the first part of a 2-day pay-per-view event from these 5 matches that we have here. And that's just that goes to show, how well they set up this whole week, because we have another set of amazing matches coming up on Friday, which of course is going to be more than likely starting off is going to be Super Click versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. We still have Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus the Men of the Year, and they had a promo earlier tonight. We have CM Punk versus Powerhouse Hobbs, as we already know. We have the 8-man tag match, Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, going up against the Hardy Family Office, the team comprised of Private Party and Butcher and the Blade, Anna Jay and Penelope Ford. And of course, the main event of Friday Rampage is going to be Suzuki Gun. It's going to be Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer in a lights out match versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, which that's going to be one hell of a match. So that was just part 1. This is just the appetizer for this week. And we're going to get another solid course on Friday, which I'm very looking forward to.
Well, guys, go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let us know what your score is for AEW Dynamite Grand Slam 1 through 10. I'm going to give this particular show an 8.5. I'm going to give you why. I'm going to tell you why. Because it was at a bigger venue. That venue sounded real loud. We had an awesome 30-minute matchup to kick off the match. And it wasn't flooded by a bunch of vignettes or promos. We actually had some solid matches that actually made the 2 hours fly by real quick. Yeah. When I'm looking at our notes, which usually flooded with backstage promos, vignettes, and this and that, literally barely any of that. We got solid matches, which is exactly what I want to see in a wrestling show. So 8.5, I think, is a fair assessment for AEW Grand Slam tonight. What about you?
Yeah, that's right on the money, because we can't put a 9.5 or a 10 when there's still so many things that could happen on Friday that can actually outdo this show. Because anytime you have the Young Bucks, they're going to put on a good show, especially now that they're realigned with Adam Cole, baby. The Super Click is back together, going up against Jurassic Express and Christian Cage is going to be great. We have the 8-man tag match, so anytime that you have the Lucha Brothers in the match is great, especially teamed up with Santana and Ortiz, and they're going up against Isaiah Cassidy, Marquand, Butcher, and the Blade. Like, there's so many things that could possibly top tonight, so I'm gonna keep myself, relegated a little bit. And I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the 8.5 for everything that you said. Like, they focus on the matches. They focus on the 30-minute time limit draw versus Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, as they should have. Match is great across the board. You didn't flood it with, again, like you said, vignettes like we got last week, because that was the go-home show for this week. And we got to see the fruits of their labor tonight. So because of that, I'm going to give it a solid 8.5.
And there's a lot of guys giving up real high scores, 9 5s, 8.5, 11s, which is out of scale. So you guys really enjoyed it. I'm really happy to hear that from you guys. So just, again, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing and engaging with the show as we switch over to NXT 2.0 and the multicolored brand instead of the black and gold brand showed us a whole lot of more. You thought we got debuts last week?
Man,
more debuts. No. You get a debut. You get a debut. Everybody gets a debut. Man, Joe Gacy's he got a makeover, which I'm actually kind of a fan of when we jump into that. But overall, man, NXT wasn't bad. But they were just introducing a lot more characters. Tomasso Ciampa kicked off the show with a promo inside the ring with some of the new members of the roster, just addressing what's going on and how he missed being a NXT champion. And pretty much just showcasing the new crop of stars. And then we just had a melee breakout. We just had this one huge melee until it was Bron Breakker, Tomasso Ciampa that cleared out the entire ring, setting the tone for the main event of the night, which was Bron Breakker, Tomasso Ciampa versus Ridge Holland and one Peter Dune. And that was a hard-hitting main event. But I am more impressed this week by Bron Breakker than I was last week. What did you think?
Oh, it's clear. It is so clear that he is the future of NXT. Like, you could make it more obvious just how big the focus is going to be on one Rex Steiner, a.k.a. Bron Breakker. And he continues to do some really great work, not only inside the ring, but outside of it too. From the in-ring and backstage promos with Tomasso Ciampa and just him eyeing Goldie every single time before he actually does something. And even after they won the match, spoilers, they won the main event. Thanks to Bron Breakker with his power slam, where he held the NXT championship and he was looking at it, holding it. And Tomasso Ciampa's like, all right, give me back Goldie. And he's grabbing for Goldie and he's still holding on to it. And he basically has to yank it out of his hands. Like, they're doing a lot of, laying the groundwork really well for this potential feud of Tomasso Ciampa and Bron Breakker. But it just goes to show you, like, if you're going to go straight from being debuted to go up against the new champion himself, other than Von Wagner, they have so much faith in Bron Breakker. So I'm excited to see what he continues to do. And the more and more he gets to talk and do these promos, the more and more you're getting that feel from his dad and from his uncle, which is why I told you I'm waiting for his first ever triple threat match so he can bring in a little bit of that Rick Steiner math up into here and let us know about that. You only got a 33% chance of winning, but you can't beat me. Like, I'm just waiting for him to allude to that, because then we're all going to get that chuckle, because he kind of has to do that. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm excited to see the future for Bron Breakker in this new NXT 2.0, because like you said, second week that we've had this show, and I haven't been disappointed. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this new NXT 2.0, even though we have to learn so many people's names, week after week. I'm sure we're going to get used to it. But there's so many people that they debuted here. We're going to go over more of that in just a little bit.
Now, we did have a matchup here tonight with one Elektra Lopez. Man, she put on a beating, real bad beating on, trying to find her name.
It was Anna Shearer.
Yeah, Anna, my God. She looked intimidating. No, not at all. But this is a great addition to the Legado. I absolutely love what they're doing. And I almost kind of feel bad for BFAB, because BFAB didn't have that strong of a showing last week on the revamp, and Elektra looked like $1 million this week. I don't know. What do you think of this?
You can kind of feel like obviously Elektra's been in wrestling. It feels like she's been in professional wrestling for a little bit longer than BFAB, and I like the change of her style. Like she went from being a very technical wrestler as Carissa Rivera. Now that she's found herself aligned with Legado de Fantasma, she's coming with more of a powerhouse style. Like she's looking more strong, more dominant, and more power moves than we've seen from her in the past. So I'm liking this new edge they've given to Elektra Lopez. And yeah, right now in ring, skill wise, she's got the edge over BFAB. So we're gonna see what BFAB can do in order to help, close that gap between them before they have their eventual match. So yeah, it was a really strong outing for Elektra. And again, this is another entertaining feud that we still continue to see between Hit Row and Legado de Fantasma. The crowd is behind both, which I love. Like, they're not being one-sided more than the other. So this is going to be a really great feud, and it's going to continue on for a little bit, too.
Now, we did have a bunch of other vignettes. We did have some promos, things that went down through the show, just to kind of keep your mind fresh on what's going on with all this new talent. We had Tony D'Angelo's. We had him. Then we also had the vignette at the bar. I like that.
Yeah, I'm feeling this. Jensen and Briggs.
Jensen and Briggs as a tag team, I absolutely am feeling them. That vignette at the bar where they just started swinging and they're drinking. This is all part of the new part of NXT that Vince McMahon wants now this brand to be edgier, to a little bit more provocative, right? So I like that. I also really enjoyed Toxic Attractions promo and the way that Mandy Rose, oh my God, Chongalicious Mandy Rose, right?
Bro, I was like Trick Williams in the back, man. I was like, damn, she fine. Like when they came across, I love that little, just the interaction between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes and Toxic Attraction, because they were just completely smitten. These girls are going to get all the attention, and they laid out their plans for what they're doing and what they're trying to do in the women's division. And that's not only Mandy Rose staking her claim in the women's division, but having JC Jane and Gigi Dolan going after the women's tag team championship, because like we've kind of mentioned before, they haven't been doing a whole lot with Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. We got to see a little bit of them interacting backstage when they got asked about how they felt about the challenge from Gigi and from JC. And it's like, okay, like we know what Io can do. We know Zoe Stark is amazing. We want to see more of them, but they're kind of relegated right now in the women's tag team division. Let's get the belts off of them. Let's have them back in singles competition, because the women's division is starting to really heat up, because it's official. Next week, we are going to get Big Mommy Cool herself, Raquel Gonzalez, defending the NXT Women's Championship against La Güera Loca, Frankie Monet. And that's going to be one hell of a match. Line her up, get Io in there, get Zoe in there. This is how you, again, reestablish that women's division that's felt really stagnant after Raquel went through everybody. Now we got to line up those new people, and we have it right here with these three women. So I'm looking forward to this, and they're just setting that stuff, just setting the seeds, planting the seeds for these upcoming feuds that we're going to be getting soon. So they did a really good job with that. So that's going to be one hell of a matchup next week between Frankie Monet and Raquel Gonzalez. Do you see your long-distant cousin in Raquel Gonzalez retaining that title, or is she going to lose it against Frankie Monet?
I don't know, man. The draft is coming up, and I have a feeling Raquel might be getting called up. Yeah. So maybe they put it on Frankie. I don't know. We'll see. I think this is going to be a fun match. Frankie is a seasoned veteran, so I think she's going to make Raquel look like $1 million. And vice versa. So I think this is going to be a treat. And either way it goes, if Frankie wins, that's great. If Raquel wins, that's even better, because she gets to retain it. But I have a strong feeling she's probably coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm liking some comments here. Stephen Chambers referring to Jensen and Briggs as APA 2.0. I felt like they were like a really young version of Bear Money Inc., of James Storm and Bobby Roode. So either way, it's working. I like it. So I think they're some guys to look out for. He even believes that Toxic Attraction are going to win the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. that remains to be seen. But, again, NXT, as much as we were kind of worried about how this new version was going to look, they're not disappointing, especially when you have a match like the NXT Cruiserweight Championship match that we got to see. The champion Kushida having to defend his title against not only Roderick Strong, but the rest of Diamond Mine, because for once, now that Roddy is the leader of a faction, it actually works out in his favor because the number games were just a little too much for that time splitter. So how do you feel about Roderick Strong and the Diamond Mine now holding on to that NXT Cruiserweight Championship, Jose?
I think this was great. I think this was a long time coming for Roderick Strong. I think now this is the point where you start pushing Diamond Mine to the faction that you want it to be. The only part, if I'm going to kind of break it down, they should have let Roderick Strong enjoy that victory just a little bit longer before he got challenged immediately after he won the title. Dude, I forget. There's so many new names that I forget all the guys that are here now, right? But in this particular match, after the match is over, Grayson Waller comes out, right? Mm-hmm. Immediately challenges Roderick, and Michael Bivens accepts. Now, I think that was a huge mistake. I think the way that you should have booked it, if you want to keep Diamond Mine the heel faction that it is, it was like, oh, no. The champ just won the title. If you want to get to the champ, then you got to go through the Creed brothers. And if you can get through the Creed brothers, then you get to the champ.
That's still too much because nobody's going to get to the Creed brothers anytime soon.
You got the Creed brothers for a reason, so use the Creed brothers, right?
Yeah.
Use the Creed brothers and make yourself a monster, well, not a monster heel, but a hateable heel with a faction, because that's what you got. And you got Malcolm Bivens, who's the perfect mouthpiece. He's like, if you want a piece of the champ, you got to get through the Creed brothers first, as opposed to, oh yeah, I'll give you a title match next week.
Sure, why
Come
not?
on.
Yeah, you're right. Make Roderick Strong the final boss. You have to work your way through the Diamond Mine.
Isn't that the point?
That's why you have a faction, right? That's the idea of having a faction.
Exactly. He was in a faction. He was in one of the most successful factions in NXT history. He should have taken a card out of Adam Cole's playbook and do the same exact thing with the Diamond Mine.
Yeah, no, that'd be great storytelling too. Just the fact that now that he's the main guy of a faction, that he gets to play the role of Adam Cole as opposed to him being the role of kind of like the fourth child, with just barely getting the NXT North American Championship to complete the conquest of gold. Yeah, that would have been a nice little reversal of fortune with him being in this new role. That would play up to really well. That makes the Creed brothers even more of a gateway in order to get to him, which again would be an incredible idea. But they're setting up title matches. So this is 2 title matches already that we're going to get next week with the AEW Women's Championship and now with the Cruiserweight Championship. And just like you guys mentioned in the chat, where in the world is MSK? Because they haven't done a whole lot in the tag team division other than being there at the wedding, which, again, the storyline's not over, Jose. We get to see the honeymoon. We get to hear about the honeymoon next week.
Looking forward to it. My wife was asking me, she was like, no, now that they got married, what, are they just going to let go of the storyline? I'm like, probably not. They're probably going to do a honeymoon. Hold them below. It was right there. The honeymoon is going to be next week.
And then we're going to find out her best friend, the maid of honor from the wedding, our friend from Australia. I forgot her name, but she essentially says her and Indy Hartwell are going to go after those women's tag team divisions as soon as she's back from the honeymoon. So again, introducing another character. She at least seems to have a little bit of personality. I'm just interested to see how they work together, her with Indy. Are they going to be actually best friends, or are they going to kind of bump heads a little bit like Indy did with Candice? So that's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. But we also got to see a match between Odyssey Jones going on a 2-on-1 match against poor Carrie Millman and Darren Chapetta. It wasn't fair. Like, both of them combined, they could have done a fusion dance and they still wouldn't have weighed more than Odyssey Jones. Like, they did not stand a chance at all But this was really to set up the Andre Chase storyline because he had a little vignette backstage where he has Chase University. And lesson number one is, don't get cocky. Because like Odyssey Jones, he got a little too cocky. He had a lackadaisical cover against Carmelo Hayes, and he wound up losing, the breakout tournament because of that. Which, of course, one of the students was very happy and eager to point out that, didn't you lose Odyssey Jones in the first round of the tournament? Anyway, he digresses. He makes his presence known here, too. So we are going to get a feud between Odyssey Jones and Chase and Andre Chase. So we'll see how long that lasts, because I assumed also, just like you brought up about the draft, that's going to be happening, the first week of October. So basically in a week and a half. Odyssey Jones has been in a lot of dark matches for Raw and SmackDown. So don't be surprised if the runner-up to this year's breakout tournament, his run in NXT is not going to be that long.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen before. We've seen that when Drew McIntyre made his way back to NXT and just kind of got, fast-tracked to the main roster. And there's cases that's happened. We've seen that with Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, when he came into NXT, he was kind of fast-tracked and just pushed straight to the main roster. There's just some people that get it and know how to do the WWE style of pro wrestling, right? Yeah. So I think Odyssey Jones is one of those guys, right? He's super charismatic, lovable, humble guy. But the dream match I want to see Odyssey Jones and Keith Lee go at it.
Stephen Chambers just brought it up here. Odyssey might get called up. While you talked about having that dream match, this is what I said to you. Stephen Chambers hit it around the head. Odyssey may get called up, maybe teaming up with Keith Bearcat Lee. Just imagine those two guys as a tag team. Indestructible with Odyssey Jones. And then having them split up and then feud against each other for, like, say, the U.S. title would be an amazing storyline to have. So, yeah, don't be surprised if we see Odyssey Jones being called up sooner rather than later. But another name that we've been talking about that could be going up, Christopher Ryan Cooper asking here in the chat, do you see L.A. Knight, being drafted to either Raw or SmackDown during the draft?
That's a main event level guy right there, the L.A. Knight. He carry a crowd. People love that guy.
He's such a main roster character. Like it
really is. He's definitely a main roster character. Even if he's not put in the title picture, I think he can do a lot of entertaining stuff backstage. He can do a lot of entertaining vignettes. But yeah, absolutely. I think he's a good fit on the main roster. Guys, go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let us know what your score is for this week's NXT 2.0. I'm going to give this about a 7 just because we had so many debuts thrown at us that I literally have to go back into my notes to figure out the names of all these people because I can't keep up with all these debuts. Solid matches. We had a title change and Bron Breakker. I'm sold on Bron Breakker. I'm all in on Bron Breakker or Rex Steiner, however you call him. So, yeah, I think a 7.
Rex Steiner. Like, it's such a good name. But yeah, you know what? Yeah. If they would have had another solid match, I would give it a 7.5. But yeah, I'm gonna stick to just a solid 7. I did enjoy some of the other vignettes. Like they had a nice vignette for Ikemen Jiro. So of course, when you think of Japanese superstar, you think of strong style. But when you think of Ikemen, is style strong. He is the king of style strong. That's why he has all of those fly blazers. So I thought that was a nice little touch, giving him a little bit more personality. So have him as part of NXT proper as opposed to 205 Live. But yeah, the continued growth of Bron Breakker. We still get to see Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams because as he's basically kind of congratulating, people are congratulating Grayson for challenging Roderick Strong right off the bat and go for that title. Carmelo Hayes had to put him in his place. It's like, yeah, you might win that title, but I still got this right here, the contract that allows him to challenge any champion on NXT. So, it's nice to see him still getting involved. Joe Gacy, which I know you were talking about earlier, but he cut a promo, and his new gimmick is now making a safe space for NXT. And of course, this led to a match with Cameron Grimes where he eventually lost. And then we also got to see Zion Quinn, which, man, if there's anybody that looks like an NXT or a WWE superstar, it's him. And they started off with the chivalry gimmick where he's just, getting ready to come into the building. Two ladies are coming in. He's about to open a door for them, but then some other guy comes in and cuts him off, and he holds him back. Lets the ladies in there, and as he closes the door behind the ladies, just continues to beat the hell out of this guy. So he's already got a point in my book because he has a great look. Forgot where he comes from, because we also saw the debut of the guy from Singapore. We got to see Dante Chen, who got to win over Trey Baxter, and then we got to see him, who looks like he's from New Zealand, because he looks like a Maori warrior that could just rip somebody's head off, because he played rugby, and that's where they got him from. So even though it was a lot of introductions, they're planting the seeds in a lot of clever ways. And so far, especially if we're going to get this new edgier side of NXT 2.0, like you mentioned before, that's what Vince wants to see. And we're starting to see a little bit more grittiness. Even though it's all nice and colorful in the production, you still give it an edge to a lot of his characters and to a lot of the matches and storylines. I'm excited to see how this is going to play out. And even though it seems like a lot of names at once, these are going to be names that we remember. Like, as much as I hate it, I'm remembering Bron Breakker. I know I'm going to remember the name of Zion Quinn if he continues to show up. Von Wagner, the child of Khali and Kane. Yes. We're going to remember the names of Dante Chen if they keep pushing him the way that they've been doing. Tony D'Angelo, when he makes his in-ring debut. I'm looking forward to it because they did 2 solid vignettes about him and, really alluding a lot to like a Mafia Edge style to him. So I'm interested to see how they're going to portray that outside character into the in-ring style. So I'm liking a lot that they're setting up. But again, when you had these amazing matches that we just got to see on Dynamite Grand Slam compared to what we see this week on NXT, like we saw last week on AEW with all the vignettes, it's going to bring that points down. So I'm going to give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. With everything that's going on with the revamp, it's just going to take some time for us to get used to these new names. It just takes time.
All the names.
It just takes time. All right, guys, a lot of stuff coming down this weekend here on Sportskeeda Wrestling Extreme Rules. We got a lot of coverage going on. We have the post-show Sunday night, and we also have a trivia show with Kevin and an SP3. They're going to be going for a number 1 contender spot to see who faces Rico for the Trivia Championship at Survivor Series. And then we got Kenny Bolin and SP3 doing the preview show for Extreme Rules on Friday. So make sure you guys are subscribing to our YouTube channel and hitting that notification bell so you guys never, ever miss when we post brand new content. We got tons of exclusive interviews right there, right now on our YouTube. So go ahead and check it out. If you're watching us on demand, watching us on Facebook, go ahead and share tonight's video in your favorite wrestling group and tag your friends in the comment section so they can join in and set your notifications to see first. So that way you also never miss when we post brand new content on Facebook. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to all of you that engaged and commented on the show. We absolutely love you. Thank you for getting us over 20,000 on YouTube. We're about to break 21. So thank you again. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys. It's going to be a great weekend wrestling. And Rico, as always, when you're watching wrestling, you have to do the most important thing. Doesn't matter if it's AEW, if it's Impact, if it's WWE. You have to what, Rico?
You have to enjoy wrestling.
Boom.